Hello, hope everyone is doing well. Today we will be discussing equity in action through the interview I've conducted. This will touch upon alternative education, along with many key terms and theories that will be relative to our text. Feel free to take some notes as we go along, as I think it will personally benefit you throughout the course of today's lesson. Now, what exactly is equity in action? From what I've gathered from my interview, it is the teacher's ability to acknowledge socioeconomic status, gender, and other identifying characteristics between students, and allows teachers to create the ability for students to learn to the best of their ability without prejudice and judgment from their schooling system. Through the use of an interview between me and Mrs. Smith, it allowed me to see a glimpse into the world of not only a middle school educator, but an alternative education educator, providing me with information about how students with troubling backgrounds and a wide variety of developmental differences get treated within the classroom by educators and their peers over time. When the conversation comes up about whether students should be perceived in the same way when it comes to learning, Mrs. Smith says it's on more of a surface level. Gender and ethnicity does not create a separation in learning. In fact, when working in a multicultural classroom, preferences always seem to be key and should be noticed by the educator. By identifying the preferences of a student, it can create a more secure bond within the classroom. This could be acknowledging the way of learning for one individual student or seeing the preferred emotions that can arise when a student seems to have complications that can occur, whether that is due to inside the classroom or outside the classroom. Each student should understand as an educator you respect their differences, trust their values, and want to keep them going through their educational journey. If a student has trauma currently or sometime during the past, more effort will be needed to put in order to make a connection, especially due to the fact that there can be issues with emotional regulation when trauma begins to occur. Erickson's fourth stage, industry versus inferiority, comes into play, more specifically inferiority. When students are faced with issues during key developmental stages, it can make them feel inferior with their skill sets and their ability to make connections, almost creating a sense of failure before the teacher even arrives into the classroom. Teaching students to enrich them about the idea of equity can be challenging. In the case of alternative schooling systems, Mrs. Smith claims that students may also have less access to enrichment opportunities and less exposure in different ways of life. Furthermore, making it hard for them to achieve dreams that they may not have seen accomplished by parents or by siblings in the past. This makes it more difficult to find a secure future due to the lack of exploration and never really interpersonally addressing themselves. It can create insecurity within their own intelligence. By using the jigsaw classroom method, it can provide students with a more collectivistic perspective, showing that they can work as a team and being individual isn't always necessary. Not giving all students fair treatment when it comes to resources, if noticed by students, can take a toll on their self-esteem and overall level of self-regulation. This links to conventional reasoning, more specifically the fourth stage of Kohlberg's theory, that emulates the impact of morality and society that it has upon students. Things such as prejudice and gender stereotyping can play a big role in middle childhood education. When trying to adapt to what society is throwing at you, the stage of identity versus identity confusion starts to take a toll. Self-confidence is very much key, as you can guide yourself upwards, reaching a clear momentum towards a bright future, or you can fall backwards, falling into an identity diffusion through the mixture of difficulty figuring out oneself and also goals for the future. Due to all of these complications, the schooling system that Mrs. Smith works in has developed multiple social emotional learning opportunities, whether it is as a group or specific to an individual based on the needs by the students. Within the school, it's important to start small and casually build your way up to strengthen a connection between students and their teachers. With so much shifting in the world and separation and cliques becoming present at all ages, it is important as an educator to not only refrain from judging, but to give away from the typical way of learning. Mrs. Smith has a predominantly male class and has noticed that research that has been conducted shows that male students take more leadership in the classroom. Although with the power in her hands, it makes it even more of an even playing field in her classroom by calling on the fraction of her female students more often and allowing them to have a strong voice within the classroom that her male students have and will continue to have throughout the course of the school year. Equity itself does not have to fall within culture, gender, and stereotyping, as it can be such a huge barrier for students and what future they want to achieve. By fighting against gender typing and breaking preconceived male and female roles, it can be more freeing in the classroom and can help students move towards whatever future they want. As educators, students rely on us. Some may not have a healthy home to go back to, and by being an outlet of kindness and acceptance, it can truly change the lives of a child. If there is judgment and equity, it is not put into action. It can make students feel isolated and pushed further from the society and from their schooling experience. As this video comes to a close, there are two key things I would like you to take away from all of this. First of all, that a classroom should be freeing and a judgment-free zone. Nothing can be more limiting to a child or adolescent than stripping them of what makes them unique. Therefore, by putting on stereotypes and presenting prejudice, being able to take that away makes a classroom more open. Second of all, that as an educator, it is okay to feel uncomfortable to fight for what is right for your own students. We need to help create the future for these students, and with that comes challenges. Nothing comes easy, and by being authentic and open to whatever comes your way, it can do wonders as an educator and can really help benefit your future students. Wanting to go into a profession that I believe is full of expression, it would hurt me to see students shut down in the creativity department. Sparking emotions, exploring them, and who you want to be is so important, especially at the age of middle school education, which I am willing to teach. I would hope that through the use of equity, it can almost be the way of teachers giving back to students and saying thank you for making their job possible. Thank you all for listening. I really hope there was something you were able to learn today. By telling students that as an educator you are willing to do the best to promote but nothing for the greatest learning for them, it can be one of the greatest gifts a student can receive through the course of their education. I hope as future educators we can achieve that. Thank you.